Good afternoon and welcome to the latest installment of I Was a Teenage Daydreamer, where I discuss mostly music, some literature, some film. I'm going to stop right there because today I am actually going to discuss a film. This is a film that just had a big birthday, turning the big 5-0 a little over a week ago. And I meant to say something about it on that day, but I was actually too busy watching it a couple of times because it is my all-time favorite film. And for those of you who are movie buffs and in the know, and maybe who are watching the news, because it did get a little airtime on the news, I am talking about Jaws from 1975, June 20th, 1975. So, as many of us know, this was the first summer blockbuster directed by Steven Spielberg, his first major film project. And it was a situation, again, as most folks know, that everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. Things that should not have gone wrong did go wrong. He thought his career was over just as it was beginning, and he was wrong. This is what catapulted him up on his way to the stratosphere and superstardom as a director, and he deserves all the kudos that he gets for taking everything that could have gone wrong and making it work into into a film masterpiece. It truly is. And saying it's my favorite film, that doesn't really mean anything because who am I? But for me to like this movie is a big deal because I typically don't like horror movies. I like them up to a certain point. In fact, I love them up to a certain point. Throughout the 60s, all the way back into the 70s a little bit into the 80s. My thing is I don't like jump scares very much. I like atmosphere. I like mood. I like tension. And while there are jump scares in Jaws, it's more about tension and mood and building the suspense. So this is a thriller. This is a horror movie because there is blood. There are deaths. They are gruesome. Not overly, not by today's standards. This isn't Saw or The Terrifier. It's realistic kills. But more so, and what makes it my favorite film, is I believe that this is a character study of three very unique individuals and how they perceive and handle a crisis and work together to end that crisis. Of course, I'm talking about Sheriff Brody, played by the late, great Roy Scheider, talking about Matt Hooper, the oceanographer, played by Richard Dreyfuss, and I'm talking about Quint, the insane shark fisherman, played by the equally insane and enigmatic and fantastic Robert Shaw, who is definitely third placed on this, but steals the show 100% every time he is on camera. So what really grabbed me with this movie was several years ago, I was flipping the channels and it was on the scene in the hospital after the last kill when even the mayor concedes we've got to do something about this. It's the 4th of July. It just killed somebody. And everyone saw. There's no more denial that there may or may not be a shark. Oh, we caught a shark. It's the shark. No, they didn't. Everyone knows there's still a killer shark out there. And there's a scene where Brody, the character played by Roy Scheider, is holding his son, and his hand is up in his son's shirt, touching his skin, a comfort situation, father to son, and he's talking to his wife. And it's just a very touching, real scene as he's tired and he realizes this is really just beginning for me. Like, we've just been building up to what really needs to happen here. And it's just a very candid, non-excitable, non-dramatic moment of domestic realization. I've got to move forward. You're going to have to stay here with the kids. And that ends Act 1. And they go from the land to the water. Most films have 3 acts. Generally, I feel like this one has 2. Pre-water and water. The building of the tension where we know there's a shark from, the first 3 minutes. and the denial of the townspeople and the mayor, et cetera, and Roy Scheider knowing, oh no, there is a shark, but okay, I've got to play these stupid political games with these morons, which begs to the fact that the bad guy here is not the shark. The shark is a wild animal doing what it does. The bad guy here is the mayor. The mayor knows there's something going on here, but he's thinking about the best interest of the town, which might be fair up to a point, but at the end of the day, he's thinking about his career. If he shuts down the beach and there's no summer tourists and there's a killer shark out there and everyone has to go on the dole during the winter, then he's probably not going to get reelected next election time. Oddly enough, Jaws 2, Jerk is still the mayor. Maybe it was the same term, he just hadn't been voted out yet, or maybe that's just, how dumb people are. I don't know. Perhaps some political commentary. But Act 1 builds up to it. You've got Matt Hooper, you've got Sheriff Brody, you've got Quint, who we haven't seen much of at this point, but he looms throughout as people talk about him with reverence and fear. And then they're on the water. And these three very different people, the sheriff, who's the sheriff of an island and hates the water, the young, wealthy oceanographer who is very book smart, has a lot of experience, but is a little bit out of touch because he loves the science of these fish. And then the hardened, wizened World War II veteran who's been there and seen it all. He kills these things for a living. He knows how they think. He doesn't see it from a scientific point of view. He sees it from a a survival point of view. You throw the three of them together, put them on this little boat, launch them out to sea, and good luck. And this is where the tension really does mount. It's more than just the shark coming to get them. It's how these three very diverse people work together for a common goal. Of course, I don't want to give away anything. Everyone knows what happens in the end, but it's more about building up to that final explosion, the way these three men work together. And some of the acting in here is the best you'll ever see in any type of cinema. And Robert Shaw is really the one that brings it. His scene where they're all sitting after dinner in the Orca and they're all kind of getting along and they're a bit drunk and they're comparing scars and things like that. And then he tells the story of the USS Indianapolis. I've read several articles and things about this film. He had written that speech himself. He came in the first day drunk, thinking he'd be in character, and flubbed it. Came in the next day sober and just harnessed that energy. And you could see Richard Dreyfuss in the background, and those two famously did not get along at all, which their real-life tension worked very well in the film as well. But Richard Dreyfuss's mouth is just agape. And you could say, well, that's just his character being in awe of how he was on the... No, it's the way that Shaw is delivering. Like, this is a master before you. You're just a young pup just now coming up. Yeah, you had the Goodbye Girl and some success in that. But this is Robert Shaw. This guy was an everyman when it came to the arts. And this is one of his greatest performances in a very long line of fantastic performances. Anyway, so I guess my spin on why go see Jaws. Yes, it is a fun summer blockbuster. Yes, it is a great thriller. Yes, it is a fine horror movie. But for me, someone who prefers film noir, someone who prefers old black and white dramas and things like that over flashy skin. I will say I do love a good action movie, things blowing up and all that fun stuff. Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Jason Statham movies, things like that. But, for a film lover, this is an excellent film. My mother, who had never seen it before, finally condescended to get dinner, and we'd watch this film together. And outside of the handful of jump scares, again, the shark is only on screen for 4 minutes, she really enjoyed it. So for those of you who have never seen Jaws, and it may be because it's a horror movie, you just never got around to it, but you like movies, you should watch this film. It is really an excellent, excellent film. For those of you who have seen it a million times, I hope you watched it on its 50th anniversary when it gets released in August in the theaters again. I hope you go out and see it. I saw it when it was out 3D. I checked my kids out of school so we could go see this movie very controversial with certain people. But when it was funny, when we got there, there were at least a dozen other parents with their school-age kids who had been checked out because everyone wanted to see this in 3D. It was okay in 3D. It was pretty good. So anyway, just great to see it on the big screen. So that's my spiel. 50th anniversary of Jaws. Happy 50th birthday. Check it out. Let me know what you think about Jaws. Click like or subscribe if you want to. And most importantly, keep doing what you love.